We met at a college noted for knowledge and a city noted for progress, and state noted for strength and stand in need of all three. For we met in an hour for change and challenge in a decade of hope and fear. It aged both knowledge and ignorance. The greater our knowledge increases, the greater our ignorance unfolds. Despite the striking fact that most of the scientists that the world has ever known are alive and working today, despite the fact that this nation's own scientific manpower is doubling every 12 years at a rate of growth more than 3 times that of our population as a whole. Despite that, the vast strengths of the unknown and unanswered and unfinished still are outstrip of collective comprehension. No man can fully grasp how far and how fast we have come. But condense, if you will, the 50,000 years of man's recorded history in a time span of half a century. Stated in 3 terms, we know very little about the first 40 years, except at the end of them, advanced man in learning to use his skins and animals to cover them the first 40 years. Then about 10 years ago, under this standard, a man emerged from his caves to construct the other kinds of shelter. Only 5 years ago, man learned to write and use a chart with wheels. Christianity began less than 2 years ago. The printing press came this year, then less than 2 months ago. During this whole 50-year span of human history, the steam engine provided a new source of power. Newton explored the meaning of gravity. Last month, electric lights and telephone and automobiles and airplanes became available. Only the last week did we develop penicillin and television and nuclear power, and now, if America's new spacecraft succeeds in reaching Venus, we will have literally reached the stars before midnight tonight. This unbreaking pace is such a pace cannot help but create new ills and dispels old, new ignorance, new problems, new dangers. Surely the opening vistas of space promising high cost and hardship as well as new reward. So if it's not surprising that some would have to say where we are a little longer to rest, to wait. But this city of Houston, this state of Texas, this country of the United States was not built by those who waited and rested and wished to look beyond them. This country was conquered by those who moved forward, and so will space. William Bradford, speaking in 1630 of the founding of the Plymouth Bay Colony, said that all great and honorable actions are accompanied by great difficulties, and both must be enterprised and overcome with answerable courage. If this Caspulate history and our progress teaches us anything, it is that man, in his request of knowledge and progress, it is determined that cannot be deterred. The explanation of space will go ahead whether to join it in or not, and that is one of the highest, greatest adventures of all times. No nation which expects to be the leader of other nations can expect to stay behind the race for space. Those who came before us made certain that this country rode the first waves to the industrial revolutions, the first waves of modern invention, and the first waves of nuclear power. And this generation does not intend the founder of backwash of coming of the space age. We mean to be a part of it. We mean to lead it. For the eyes of the world now look into space, to the moon, to the planets beyond. We have vowed that we shall not see it governed by a hostile flag of conquest, but by a banner of freedom and peace. We voted that we shall not see space filled with weapons and mass destruction, but it is instruments of knowledge and understanding of this nation can only be fulfilled if we in this nation were the first. Therefore, we intended to be short. Our leadership in science and industry, our hopes for peace and security, our obligations to themselves as well as others.